The story begins on the first night of spring break, when a group of friends is having a party on the beach, along with some other classmates. They seem to be having a great time drinking, dancing, and playing party games. One of them is recording the whole night out on their camera. When the camera shows Kaylee, she looks visibly upset. She's not in the mood to drink or party at all. Turns out she found her boyfriend, Jonah, cheating on her with a girl named Chanda. The cameraman offers her a drink, but she politely refuses. But after seeing Jonah kissing Chanda, she gets jealous. She grabs the drink and drinks it all in one sip. After that, a guy named Mitch comes up with a clever idea to take everybody's phones and put them in the trunk of the car so that no pictures or videos of the night out get posted online. Initially, some people are not in the favor of doing that, but soon they all agree. As the drinking continues, two guys named Gilbert and Vance find a giant slimy egg somewhere on the beach and bring it to the party. While some people seem disgusted by it, the two of them are planning to burn it. However, Jonah does not approve of the idea. He believes burning a gooey egg is idiotic and stops them. As the party continues, Mitch is trying to get close to Kaylee, who just got her heart broken. Meanwhile, the crowd gets entertained by Jonah doing several backflips. Vance draws on Gilbert's face with a marker after he passes out on the beach after drinking too much. The next morning, Kaylee is sleeping next to Mitch on a lifeguard stand, while Jonah and Chanda, along with another couple, Vance and Ronnie, are sleeping in the car. A topless girl named Marcia is sleeping on a bench, while Gilbert is not just passed out but also stuck in a trash can. Kaylee is the first one to wake up. With an instant regret waking up next to Mitch, she gets out of the lifeguard stand. Mitch follows her. Seeing Jonah sleep with Chanda in the car breaks her heart again. Mitch offers Kaylee to go surfing with him. Their conversation wakes up the others. Annoyed, Kaylee just wants to go home. Seeing her annoyance, Jonah is about to step out of the car to have a conversation with her. Just then, Chanda wakes up and stops him. In the meantime, Kaylee notices that the beach looks surprisingly empty with sleeping bags lying around, but no one on them. Just then, a bird lands on the sand. Chanda calls out Marcia several times to wake her up before Jonah honks at her. At this point, almost everyone is awake except Gilbert. Marcia wakes up feeling sick. She asks where Heather is, assuming she has her clothes. Just then, Kaylee notices that the bird appears to be stuck in the sand. Within seconds, the sand pulls the bird in. Kaylee rushes to stop Marcia, but by the time she says anything, Marcia already steps down from the bench. Instantly, her foot gets stuck and she is unable to pull it out. So, while Jonah makes fun of her, Marcia is desperately trying to pull herself out. That's when her hand also gets stuck. Confusion rises among the group as they see Marcia struggling for her life. Just then, Vance decides to go help her, and despite Ronnie stopping him, he jumps out of the car. After taking just a few steps, Vance trips and falls on his face. With Vance screaming for help, Mitch and Jonah are desperate to help, but the girls stop them from stepping on the sand. Chanda asks Jonah to start the car, but despite his efforts, he is unable to. As a last resort, Mitch throws a rescue tube towards Vance. However, by this point, Vance is sinking into the sand. The skin from his face is getting ripped off. Not just that, one of his eyeballs pops out as he dies a very painful death and gets buried into the sand. Confusion sets in as the group is unable to understand what happened. That's when their assumption begins. Jonah believes that they're stuck in quicksand and that they should start digging. On the other hand, Ronnie believes that an oil or chemical spillage was responsible for killing Vance. With no other thoughts, Chanda decides she's going to call her congressman, with the only issue that their phones are locked in the trunk of the car. Jonah holds Mitch responsible for getting them stranded at the beach. Mitch asks them all to calm down and appreciate the fact that they're still okay. Once again, Jonah tries to start the car, take Mitch and Kaylee, and get out of there. However, the car's battery is dead. With no other option left, they just decide to wait until someone shows up and gets them out. In the meantime, Kaylee walks closer to the sand. Panicked, Mitch tries to stop her. However, she just wants to get an idea of what's really happening. She puts her hand a few inches about the sand to notice some hair-like strands appear. As she's doing that, Gilbert wakes up and starts screaming for help. Stuck in the trash can, he claims his hands hurt. He starts moving back and forth to somehow get out of the can. The group urges him to stop immediately. Otherwise, he will get seriously hurt and eventually sink into the sand, just like their other friends. Gilbert successfully manages to pull out his arms. It takes some time for them to convince Gilbert to stop moving. After making him believe that they're not pranking him, they inform him about Vance and Marcia's painful death. However, Gilbert is acting reckless since he's in a lot of pain. In an attempt to convince him, Mitch tells him that the tide's coming in and within 2 hours, he'll be saved. Mitch reluctantly agrees and settles down. Kaylee takes Mitch back into the lifeguard stand. Seeing Kaylee with Mitch is making Jonah a little jealous as well. Chanda reassures him and asks Jonah to let her go. Back in the building, Kaylee confronts Mitch about lying to Gilbert. Mitch argues that there was no other way to make him sit tight. On the other hand, Ronnie grabs a diary and writes a letter for her mother in case she doesn't make it out alive. As time passes by, Gilbert appears to be in more and more pain. His face has turned red from the boiling heat and sunlight, while the others spend their time napping inside the car. Later, Kaylee opens a drawer inside the building. Inside, she finds a few pages along with a matchbox. She puts the matchbox in her pocket. After that, she asks Mitch about the events of last night. Sadly, they are unable to get an idea of what went wrong. Just then, Mitch finds a bottle of sunscreen. Kaylee grabs it and throws it over to Chanda, who is getting sunburnt. Once again, Gilbert is getting impatient. He does want to discuss the events of last night. However, Jonah believes that if they can somehow figure out what happened, then maybe they can work out a solution. Kaylee mentions that the sand appeared fine until last night when they were all dancing around on it. Just then, they realize that the sand had buried all their classmates. The girls break into tears upon hearing the sad news. Gilbert cries in pain when Jonah passes him the sunblock to relieve some of his misery. Gilbert applies the sunblock on his arms and takes a sigh of relief. That's when Kaylee notices the slimy egg that Gilbert and Vance brought in last night is now cracked open in half. They believe that the egg hatched sometime during the night and unleashed a monster. The monster that is under the sand is responsible for eating all their friends alive. In an attempt to understand how big the monster might be, Kaylee runs inside and grabs a pack of hot dogs from the freezer. She throws a hot dog a few feet away from them in several different directions. However, each time, the sausage sinks in, proving that the monster is underneath. After that, Mitch grabs one and throws it in Gilbert's direction. Soon, a bird shows up and tries to eat the hot dog. Sadly, the bird gets butchered and sinks into the sand. Seeing this, Gilbert loses his mind. He panics, believing they're all going to die in the sand. He then recalls how his mother tried to stop him from going to the party. Mitch uses the last hot dog and throws it in a completely different direction. To their surprise, the hot dog doesn't sink in. This gives them a ray of hope. They might actually be able to save their lives if they can somehow reach that point. While the others seem optimistic, Ronnie and Chanda believe it's almost impossible to go that far. Chanda suggests they should wait for someone to come rescue them. Ronnie mentions the fact that it's spring break. All the students have gone back to their hometowns. Ronnie proves her point by showing them the sleeping bags. Nobody came looking for the students who got eaten alive. That means that nobody will come looking for them either. At the same time, they cannot disregard how no one has come to the beach since the morning. Frustrated, Jonah is unwilling to sit around any longer. He grabs 2 surfboards and alternates them. He makes a path for him to walk on. When Kaylee asks him to be careful, Jonah loses his cool and confronts her. He accuses her of sleeping with Mitch. After a heated argument with Mitch, Jonah is about to get on the bench when he stumbles. With his hands on the bench and legs on the surfboard, Jonah is stuck. Quickly, he realizes that the monster under the sand is making the surfboard slip from under his feet. Jonah gets lower and lower as the surfboard slips. At one point, the hair-like strings reach his bare stomach before Jonah jumps over to the bench. Jonah appears to be in severe pain. The strings have ripped his skin off. Jonah almost passes out from the pain before he recovers. He finds a bag on the bench that has food and drinks. He grabs a banana and accidentally drops it on the sand. He carefully picks it up before jumping on the sand. This scares his friends. Turns out he jumped on the part that was covered with ashes from last night's bonfire. Starving, Jonah quickly peels the banana and starts eating it. It isn't long before he realizes that the scars on his stomach have swollen up. Once again, Jonah is in a lot of pain. Kaylee asks Jonah to get back on the table and go through the bag. He grabs a drink and throws it towards Ronnie and Chanda. After that, he passes a water bottle to Gilbert, and finally, throws over a drink for Kaylee and Mitch. Just then, Jonah's scars burst open and start bleeding. Worried, Kaylee tells him to lie down on the table. After that, they notice that the surfboards are still moving. The monster waits for its prey to touch the sand and swallows it up. In tears, Kaylee notices that the strings are growing up on the tires of the car. At this point, they can't just sit there and wait for the help to arrive. Gilbert suggests they should try to get a hold of the phones that are locked in the trunk. Ronnie tries to pull down the car seats to get to the trunk, but that doesn't work. They have to use the keys to open the trunk. Ronnie gathers up the courage and volunteers to stand up on the bumper and open the trunk. In case she doesn't make it out alive, Ronnie asks Chanda to deliver the letter to her mom. Chanda helps Ronnie through the process. She turns around and walks back to get on the bumper while holding Chanda's hand. Ronnie is hopeful that she might be able to get the phones. Meanwhile, Kaylee checks up on Gilbert and Jonah. Ronnie unlocks the truck, but she is unable to open it while holding Chanda's hand. The trunk hits her legs, and she falls on the trunk. Chanda comes up with a clever idea to get the space they need to open the trunk. Both the girls hold onto either side of a towel, but this doesn't work either. Kaylee thinks the rescue hook might be of help. Once again, Ronnie gets on the bumper, this time holding the hook. Just then, the tire deflates and Ronnie loses her balance. During her second attempt, she successfully manages to open the trunk. Just then, a beach patrol car shows up and honks at them. The honking scares Ronnie. She loses her balance that results in Ronnie getting her fingers stuck in the door of the trunk. They scream for help, and the patrolman named Alex notices them. Alex parks his car a few feet away from the bench where Jonah is lying. He rolls down the window to inform the group that the beach is closed. Kaylee asks him to call for help. They tell him about the monster under the sand. However, Alex believes that the kids are under the influence of drugs. Alex exits the car despite the group's attempt to stop him. He steps on the sand with both his feet, but nothing happens. He threatens to take them downtown if any of them is found with a marijuana cigarette. After that, Alex walks up to Jonah believing he has syphilis on his stomach. He insults Jonah before heading over to Gilbert. Meanwhile, Kaylee and Mitch are shocked to see why Alex is not getting affected by the sand monster. During that, Alex walks up to Gilbert. He makes fun of Gilbert for being stuck in a trash can. He mentions the inappropriate drawing on his face before accusing them all of being on drugs. Crying in pain, Gilbert pleads with Alex to help him. After some time, Alex finally decides to help Gilbert. He tries to pull Gilbert out with all his force but fails to move him an inch. Eventually, he gives up, claiming only a forklift can get him out. He comments how Gilbert is looking like an art exhibit and proceeds to body shame him. Alex claims he's been on the beach patrol for 23 years, but he's never seen something so weird. After that, he goes over to Ronnie and Chanda. He notices how Ronnie's fingers are stuck in the trunk, but instead of helping them, Alex continues mocking them all. Kaylee yells at him for not being of any help. She's desperately trying to get him to call his supervisor, but Alex is stubborn. When Alex walks up to them, Mitch quickly realizes that Alex is not getting eaten up by the sand because of his shoes. Seeing Mitch whisper something to Kaylee, he misbehaves with the both of them. He calls Kaylee the blondie who has been sleeping with her boyfriend in a lifeguard stand. Despite his poor behavior and lack of judgment, they tell him about today's events and how the sand has been eating their friends alive. Hearing this, Alex asks for proof. Sadly, there's nothing they can show him to make him believe them. Mitch also mentions how the same is not happening to him because of his shoes. Reluctant to believe them, he orders Kaylee and Mitch to come down, but they refuse. Alex threatens to put pepper spray on them. Moments later, just as he's trying to grab his pepper spray, Alex drops his keys in the sand. He bends over to get them, but his hand gets stuck. Alex uses his pepper spray to detach his arm from the deadly strings. He pulls his arm out only for it to be half-eaten and bleeding. Despite all his efforts, Alex trips and falls right into the sand. He gets eaten alive within seconds. So, while Alex is dying a painful death, Kaylee walks over and grabs the pepper spray. After realizing that their only chance at getting out of this mess is gone, Mitch loses his temper. He comes up with a plan to get out of there. He's going to put on his flip-flops, soak his feet with pepper spray, and wrap them in towels to protect them. Gilbert supports his idea while the girls are completely against it. Chanda tosses him the towels, but Mitch loses his balance. The railing breaks, making Mitch fall off the lifeguard tower and landing right in the sand. Pretty soon, the strings wrap around him, piercing his body until he's nowhere to be seen. After a brief moment of sadness, Kaylee takes control of the situation. She asks Chanda to get on the hood of the car and grab the broken railing that the monster is moving towards her. She then breaks off the rest of the railing and throws that towards Chanda as well. After moving all her supplies to the car, Kaylee jumps in. Holding Chanda responsible for her breakup with Jonah, Kaylee punches her in the face. After that, the two of them decide to make peace and work together to save their lives. Kaylee walks over to the hood and talks to Jonah. He immediately apologizes to her before confessing his love for her. After that, she asks Gilbert to turn around and face them. This will make it easier for him to get an idea of how they're going to save him. Gilbert pulls himself together and tries to move his body around. In the meantime, Kaylee gets on the bumper to release Ronnie's hand that has been stuck in the bumper for so long. She pulls Ronnie's hand out, causing her a lot of pain. On the other hand, Gilbert cuts his stomach and starts bleeding during his attempt to move. This alerts the monster, and the strings start to gather all around the trash can. Chanda reveals how everyone believed Kaylee and Jonah were the perfect couple. People assumed they would eventually get married and have beautiful kids. After that, Chanda uses the broken railing to walk up to Jonah. It certainly looks hard, but not impossible. While walking, Chanda apologizes to Kaylee for being responsible for her breakup with Jonah. Kaylee follows Chanda to the bench and caresses Jonah. Meanwhile, Ronnie is attempting to cross over. Slow and steady, she almost makes it to the other side. Just then, she notices a drop of blood is about to fall on the sand that might alert the monster. While catching the drop of blood, Ronnie loses her balance. Kaylee quickly soaks the sand with pepper spray before Ronnie falls over. The pepper spray helps, but not for long. Moments later, Ronnie becomes the monster's next victim. At this point, Gilbert's blood has started streaming down the trash can, alerting the monster. Alternatively, Chanda decides to use Mitch's plan to get to the patrol car. She wraps fabric around her feet feet and successfully manages to run to the patrol car. Gilbert celebrates this small victory when he realizes that the trash can has started shaking violently. It doesn't take long for the monster to penetrate through the bottom of the trash can. Screaming for help, Gilbert starts bleeding through his mouth. The fine hair-like strings turn into long tentacles that reach up to Gilbert's shoulders and suck him down all at once. This is the first time the girls get an idea of what the monster might look like. Drowned in sorrow, the girls have lost another friend. Not long after, the same tentacle shakes up the whole car. Chanda falls and immediately passes out on the hood of the car. Time passes by, and soon it becomes dark. Chanda finally gains consciousness after being passed out for several hours. After reassuring Kaylee about her well-being, Chanda looks around the patrol car. She finds something that looks like an inflatable raft. Using the ashes and the raft as a walkway, the three of them walk towards the patrol car. However, Jonah seems to be in a lot of pain. Chanda is the first one to enter the car. After making Jonah comfortable in the car, Kaylee is about to get in when the ground starts trembling. Just then, a long, glowing tentacle suddenly bursts from the ground and goes after Kaylee. She jumps back onto the car and makes her way to the back. She grabs a gas can to light the monster on fire, but the tentacle snatches it from her hand. She grabs the second gas can from the back and spills the petrol all around the place before lighting it on fire. The long tentacle catches on fire and starts swirling around. Kaylee takes advantage of it and jumps into the car. Despite this, the monster continues messing with them. Terrified, the girls lock themselves in the car while the monster tries to smash it. The girls take a sigh of relief as the monster stops attacking them. At this point, the fact that nobody came looking hits them. As they settle down in the car, Kaylee and Chanda realize that Jonah has died from his injuries after the creature's poison finally took over his body. Kaylee grabs Jonah's hand and kisses it as the two of them break down in tears. Exhausted, Kaylee and Chanda spend the night in the car mourning the loss of their friends. The next morning, Kaylee and Chanda wake up to a man knocking at the car door. Seeing the girls look terrified, he asks them if they're okay. Kaylee and Chanda are shocked to see the man standing barefoot on the sand. Realizing the monster might be gone, Kaylee steps out of the car. Chanda follows her, and the two walk along the beach. The man tries to wake Jonah, but after looking at his scars, he quickly realizes he's dead. The monster is gone. However, he has left a massive dip in the ground, about 100 yards wide and a couple of feet deep, surrounding the lifeguard tower and the beach patrol truck. The girls quietly leave the beach, clearly traumatized by everything they have been through. The movie ends as we see a huge, deadly jellyfish swimming deep underwater, traveling towards another busy beach in Santa Monica.